everybody, welcome back to Glenn's Garage. So we're actually going to start digging in to the 300ZX project here, the one I picked up last week, 86 turbo. It's not going to be maybe a particularly exciting video because I'm going to be digging in under the wheel arches here and have a look, see what we got suspension and brake wise. And then I can get some parts ordered and we can start doing some real wrenching on this thing and start replacing parts. But first things first, we're going to have a look and see exactly what we got, see what we need, so I can hopefully order it all in one go. So before I start digging into that, I thought I'd take just a couple of minutes to explain my vision, if you will, for the project. It's not going to be a nut and bolt restoration. Car doesn't have that kind of value, and in truth I don't think it needs it. It's in remarkably good shape for a 37-year-old surviving car or survivor. But it's going to be a refurbishment / restoration. So the interior will be restored because it's pretty pooched. The rest of it's going to be effectively refurbished. So, if we need brakes, we need suspension parts, we need, whatever bits and pieces we need, I intend to replace. While I'm taking things apart, I'll clean up, make it look better, paint them, whatever's needed there, but I'm not going to replace every single thing. If it's functioning and there's no need to replace it, I won't. So that's sort of my vision. I want it to be a 3-season car, spring, summer, fall. Don't be afraid to drive it. It's not a trailer queen. It's not going to end up on a magazine cover or anything like that. But it'd be nice if it's something that when people see it, they go, wow, look at the condition of that. That's sort of the ultimate goal. Okay, so got the car jacked up. Jack stand, of course, underneath it. Wheel off. So first thing I want to look at are the brakes here. And I'll bring the camera in and show you what we got. Okay, so I'm not sure how well you can be able to see that, but we've got brand new hardware and what appear to be basically brand new pads on here. And yet interestingly, they did all that and they left the old rotors, which have got some minor grooves and that on it, but nonetheless, there's definitely some grooves there. So I suspect we're going to have to do something with the rotors. Before I took the wheel off, I did try moving it up and down, side to side. I detect a slight movement around the ball joints. So I think I'm going to have this all apart anyway. So we're going to take the ball joints and replace those while we're at it. The shock, yuck. Clearly it's blown. It's gone. Look at all the grease and fluids that have come out of it here. So that strut, I say it's shock, it's a strut. That's done. So we're going to have to replace that in some way. Now, this is a turbo car, which means it came from the factory with the electronically adjustable suspension. And there's a switch, 3 settings, and the console. They stopped making these struts a long time ago. I read somewhere it had something to do with the fluids they were using. But anyway, Nissan stopped doing that. There was a rebuild kit, so you could take the cartridge out and rebuild it. Again, that hasn't been available for years apparently, so you've got no option but to ditch the electronic suspension now and go with something else. And we have 2 choices. We've got coilovers, of course, or we can put a cartridge in, replace the cartridge. Coilovers, there's a lot of options. None of them are inexpensive, and so I think what we're going to do, we're going to take this out, take it apart, put a new strut in, and hopefully I'm going to find some lowering springs so I can lower it probably about 1.5 inches or so. I don't want it on the ground, but it's got a bit too much wheel arch gap to me, so I'm going to try and do something with that there. We'll have a look and see what we got. So the strut's got to come out. The strut is clearly gone. I've got 18-year-old tires on the front, and I got potentially a slight bit of a wobble on a ball joint. So probably a fairly good indication of why the thing was all over the road. Anyway, we're going to go in now. We're going to start looking at the lower control arm bushings, tie rod end, and sway bar bushings and sway bar drop links, and see how they look. Alright, so this might be a little difficult to video, but see here I've got a pry bar, and I slipped it in over the top of the lower control arm where the bushing is, and I'm going to lever up against the body here. We're going to see if we have any movement down there at all, and that is pretty darn solid. I'll try and get it in here. Okay, if I can feel anything. Oh, it feels pretty good. I'm surprised, but that feels pretty good. So I think those lower control arm bushings are okay right now. This is the sway bar and the drop links. These are all dried out. These are going to need replacing. Okay, that's the sway bar bushing. It's in here and it looks pretty tired too, so we will replace that and we'll clean up the sway bar and everything. Okay, so this is your tie rod end here. So we're going to see, I didn't see any movement at all when I was moving the wheel back and forth. It seemed tight. The rubbers and everything still look pretty good on it, but we're going to have a look. Okay, so I tried moving this around here. This seems all good. It seems solid. I had a pry bar up under here pushing. This is all solid. I noticed right there, the bellows have gone here on the steering rack, so I have to replace that. I'll check the other side. I have to replace that, so we'll have to order one of those. Okay, done an inspection as well of the brake lines. The main steel line here looks good. There's effectively no corrosion on it. The flex line, it's a little dirty. It's got dried mud net on it. When you clean that off, it's in remarkably good condition. I was expecting to be a lot of cracking in that on it, but it seems good. It seems in good shape, so we won't disturb that. And then the other thing to look at is this rod here, which controls the fore-aft movement of the lower control arm. I'm not sure exactly what that rod's called. I'll have to look in the manual, but anyway, it's attached up under here with a bushing and everything, so we'll have a look and see what that looks like. It's hard fastened down here to the control arm, 2 bolts, so long as they're all intact, that's fine. Okay, so this is the end of that control rod there that goes back to the lower control arm. I have levered that whole lower part against the body there with the pry bar. I get no movement at all. This bushing looks in great shape. We'll be putting some dye penetrant on, or penetrating oil, sorry, on that there, because we want to take that off because we're going to be pulling all this apart anyway, clean it all up. So that obviously catches a whole bunch of yuck stuck right in the front here, so that's going to come off, and then this is all going to get prettied up anyway. So yeah, I mean, in summary, the struts are done, ball joint, we got a bellows for the steering rack, drop link, sway bar link, pretty much what you'd expect. And you know, I think when that's done and there's new tires that aren't 20 or 18 years old on it, I think we'll have improved the ride and handling substantially. Looking at the front here. Okay, so I've got the car jacked up again, the rear this time, so I'm going to look at the rear suspension, inspection of that, and the brakes. Yes. I mean, the brake rotors there's no grooves or anything on them. I think they just, you know, sitting for 5 years, they just started to clean up from driving there. The pads have some material left on them. I'll probably renew them. The calipers, you know, they need a good clean and a paint, of course, as do the hubs. Nothing unexpected or out of the ordinary there. The rear shock, there's no sign of any leaking on it. And again, this is like the front, electronic. adjustable, so, and not replaceable. I gotta confess, I was so busy just driving and listening for noises and everything else coming down. I did not play with the suspension adjustment buttons. I have no idea if these work or not. I'm told the light flashes, they don't work, so there was no light flashing. Anyway, what I'm going to do with those, I'm going to take them out and I'm just going to check if they rebound, if they've got some spring and gas or oil still in them. And if they do, then we'll clean them up and put them back in. Springs look fine. Brake lines all look good. I've checked lower trailing arm bushing here, and there's one back here. They're both good. Like the front, the sway bar bushing and the drop link are looking a little tired, so I think we'll replace those as well. Looked at the axle, the half shaft coming out there. It seems okay. There's no splits in the rubber or anything. There's a couple of small little age cracks, but it's nothing that I think I'm going to at this point take it apart for. Just needs a good cleaning under here. Quite pleased with that. No surprises here. Just the usual sort of items you would expect. So what I'm going to do now, I'll check the other two sides. I won't video them because I'm going to do exactly what I've done on this side on the other two sides, and then I'll compile a parts list. Okay, so I've just finished checking brakes and suspension on both sides now. And what I did on the rear, I actually pulled the shock out on the one side here, which is a chore. But half the interior has to come apart. I've just sort of loosely put it all back together right now so I know where everything goes. But I had the shock out and it is done. It's blown. There's zero rebound on it at all. So I'm glad I took that out, because at least I can order the rear shocks when I order the cartridges for the front struts at the same time. So yeah, everything's been checked. I have a parts list now, which is good. So I can start to order the parts, and yeah, gotta start rebuilding suspension and brakes. All right, so we are finally underway on the 300ZX project. Thank you so much for tuning in, for watching. If you enjoyed the video, a like, a subscribe would be awesome, much appreciated. And check out some of the other videos on the channel there. There's lots of other cars that are being worked on. So we'll be continuing to work on this little nugget here, and there'll be more videos coming. We're actually going to start proper wrenching and taking apart suspension, brakes, rebuilding, refurbishing, prettying up, all that good stuff's coming. So look forward to seeing you back here in the garage. As always, drive safe, everybody. Have a great day.